Hey everyone, good morning and welcome to Morning Tea with me, Tracy V. Allen, the show that is here to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you so that you can uplevel your life, your business, or your career. This morning I have with me Samantha Sammi Williams. She is a content strategist and she's here today to talk to us about her entrepreneurship journey and why content is so important and how you can use content on your various forms of social media. So Sammi, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you, Tracy, and thank you for finding a slot to get me in. I am so excited to finally be here and talk the morning tea with you. So, yes, I am Samantha Williams. People call me Sammi. I am the president and CEO of Sam's Word. I founded Sam's Word back in December of 2015. So I'm going into my fifth year in business, but I've actually started writing about 15 years ago. One of my very first largest projects was my father's book. He's a retired NYPD officer. And so he wrote a book, Tunnel Vision Through the Eyes of a Transit Cop, and I edited that for him. That was back in 2005, 2006. So since then, I started doing some freelancing. I was, putting ads on Craigslist and trying to solicit customers. Now I haven't been on Craigslist in years, but but that's where it started, right? So I finally made it official. Business was booming. I was getting more and more customers. I was getting customers more through word of mouth than anything. So I didn't need to advertise as much. And then when I made it official back in 2015, I kind of shifted the focus of the business from B2C to B2B. So, years ago when I started out, I was primarily writing for business to consumers. So resumes, college papers, business letters, things like that. But after making it a business, I knew the importance of finding my target audience, because when I started, I was like, I can write for anybody. Everybody's my customer. And I've learned along the way that no, everyone's not my customer. And then also the importance of qualifying your customer. And that really helps you pick out who's your customer and who's not. So now I focus on B2B. So my primary target audience now is entrepreneurs and small to mid-sized businesses. So usually, the entrepreneur who's struggling and they just can't do it all on their own anymore and they need to outsource. Maybe they need web content done, or they need somebody to write their bio to make them look more professional. I help with the capability statements. Or it's on the other side where we have the small to mid-sized companies where they're growing and scaling their businesses, but they haven't gotten to the point where they have an in-house marketing firm or HR firm or something like that. And so that's when they would outsource to me. And again, I will help with their firm's social media management, their web content, business plans, bios, anything that they're going to need. We also provide press releases. I'm the resident press release writer for the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce. So, they call me whenever they need me. I write a press release for them. I do speech writing and just make sure that I'm fulfilling their needs. So that's primarily what the company does. Over the last 2 or 3 years, I started expanding into training and development. So I also do workshops, and now in the state of Corona, a lot of webinars. And I teach a variety of topics. So with writing, I teach business communication and writing and grammar, just the basics of it. And then I also teach copywriting and speech writing. I do a career readiness workshop where I talk about resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn profiles, interviewing tips. I teach LinkedIn for the job seeker and then LinkedIn for the entrepreneur or the solopreneur, because it's two different avenues really there. And then through Corona, I expanded the business again. So I stay a little busy. And so I'm now doing social media management, where I take my clients' social media accounts and I put it on autopilot for them, and they don't really have to do anything besides approve and look it over. So we are doing a full house social media management. And I started a mentorship program in June of this year, June 2020 through August 2020. That's our pilot program. And in September, I hope to expand it and keep it growing, because I see the need of entrepreneurs and even existing business owners who just need a little bit of support. So in my mentorship program, We're starting out with 3 people. So one just recently started his business. And he's going through the initial stages. So maybe like 3 to 4 months in. Another one has really just started. So she just got the EIN. She just got the business bank account. And then I have another one who's been in business for 7 years. So it's a lot of
big wide.
It's a wide
variation. Yeah.
And what I found is the one who's been in business for 7 years. It's not prison. The one who's been in business for 7 years is doing the similar type of work as the one who just opened the business bank account. So they're really learning from each other. The one who just opened the bank account has a skill set in the area that the one that's been in business for 7 years wants to add to her business and is lacking. She's not really seeing it where she's at. So now they're going to collaborate and come together. And so that's what I like to see, that synergy and I told them too, we have various stages of our mentees, but I think we can all learn from each other. I'm running the program, but I'm also learning from everyone who's in the program. So that's Sam's word right now. Where to be in another 6 months? I don't know.
Yeah. But business has to keep evolving in order for your business to be sustainable. Yeah. So who was Sam before Sam's word? Because there has to be a story behind the entrepreneur. People are not just born entrepreneurs. They are made based on circumstances.
Yeah. So my background is I'm originally from Queens, New York. And it's like you said, circumstances kind of push you into it. So I started advertising on Craigslist in about 2005, 2006. The story behind that is my husband was my then boyfriend at the time. And he had recently moved in with me in about January. In March, I got suspended without pay from my job. So yeah, I was in a union, so it kind of worked itself out. But here I was, and I'm like, oh God, he's going to think I'm a loser. I just got suspended without pay, and my boyfriend just moved in with me. What am I supposed to do?
And New York apartment rents are not
New York apartment, Southside Jamaica, Queens. Right. And so I was like, we got to figure this out. And that's when I started. I knew that I could write because I was doing it for friends and some family. And I was like, let's monetize it. Let's make some money because we got rent to pay, right? We got bills to pay. And I can't have him thinking I'm some kind of loser. So I started advertising on Craigslist, and it kept growing and growing and growing. So I earned my bachelor's in business administration, HR management with a minor in human anthropology from York College in Queens. Shout out to York, CUNY.
I would like to tell the story of the fact that you got your bachelor's free of charge, correct? You didn't
mostly free.
Okay.
Mostly free through the union, the same union that brought me back when I got suspended without pay. $11.99. Thank you. I love you, $11.99. I did my bachelor's through them. They were paying for 2 classes a semester. So that's all I was doing. And that means instead of finishing my bachelor's in 4 years, it was going to take 8 years. And then in the 7th year, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm done. And so that's when I took out the loans to pay for the extra classes. And it ended up happening that I was also working full time. So working full time, taking these classes part time, I could only do online classes. And this was back in 99. 2007, I got my degree. So there wasn't a lot of online classes. So at that time, it was only basically anthropology classes that were online. So I was like, let me take these electives, do an anthropology. And then I had like 2 more classes to take. And then I would get a minor in human anthropology. So I was like, fine, throw it in there. So that's how I ended up with the minor in human anthropology. And then so $11.99 reinstated me in my position. And as a true New Yorker, I came back with my notice and was like, you could take this job. I found another one. So I appreciate $11.99 for all they did. And so I found another position, but at that same time, we knew that we wanted to relocate out of New York. We wanted to buy a house. We wanted land. I love New York to the death of me. But I wanted a place where I could open my window and not knock on my neighbor's door. So I wanted some space. So we ended up moving out to Connecticut. I was working at Yale New Haven Hospital, where I earned my master's in healthcare administration. I also earned a green belt in Six Sigma through the hospital. And then I couldn't get promoted. They gave me all this training, and I was a secretary, so I had a glass ceiling, and I couldn't leave. So I couldn't move up. So I ended up leaving and going to Yale University and being a project manager. And then that's a whole story in itself. And then after Yale, I was working from home with United Healthcare as a consumer experience designer, which has really been helpful in getting into the mind of the consumer when I'm doing their writing and using their voice and understanding the process and the flow. So while working from home with United Healthcare, I started United Healthcare in 2014. And then it was December 2015 when I started my business. So about a year into working from home. But that position actually gave me the bandwidth I needed to grow Sam's Word. I was really doing both simultaneously. And it got to a point where Sam's Word was the main job, and it felt like United was a paycheck, right? Because I could show up, I could do what I need to do, I'd go to my meetings, I get my projects done. But I was sitting in this same office where my United computer was here and my Sam's Word computer was on this side, and all day long I was going back and forth. I was working both jobs all day long. And then in October of 2019, so then I started getting to a place where I was really disconnected from corporate. It was just a paycheck. I was showing up. I wasn't happy. It was nothing more than a paycheck. And everyone around me kept saying, you have to take the leap, take the leap. And I was like, I can't just take the leap. I got bills. I got mortgage. I got my son's tuition. What am I leaping into? And they're like, oh, when you take the leap, everything will figure itself out. And I was like, no, like, my husband.
It's scary to just take the leap. It's easy to say, but it's not easy to do.
No. And so I would say, and people would say, don't do it without a plan. So take a leap, but take a leap with a plan.
Right.
And have, savings set up, right? You can't just go and just say, oh, that's it with corporate, I'm jumping. And then mortgages due. And then you're like, oh, like, what are you doing?
Right.
And so, I kept saying, yeah, okay, I'm gonna take the leap. And then corporate started getting very corporate like, and it was stressful. And I was like, oh, God, what am I gonna do? And then my husband had said to me at one point, I'm dividing myself, right? I'm not giving 100% to Sam's Word. I'm not giving 100% to corporate.
Right.
And that's why neither one are at its full potential. And he said, whatever you choose to do, you're going to be great at it, but you have to do. And I was like, well, if I have a choice, it'll be Sam's Word. Are we going to save money? What are we going to do? Because I can't this is what I want to do, but I can't do it. And then in October 2019, corporate laid me off. And so then I was like, what am I supposed to? And I was hurt. Like, how dare you do this to me? Right. And at the same time, I'm like, yes, I'm free, but what does that mean? And so since October 2019, we're going into 1 year now. I've been managing the business, and people have always said, once you let it go, it opens doors. It opens
one door in order for another one to open. I know for that.
Yes. And that's all I kept hearing in the year leading up to being laid off. That's all I kept hearing. You have to let it go. Sam's Word's not going to prosper if you're still holding on to this corporate thing. You have to invest in it. And I'm like, yeah. And then my best friend said to me after, she said, you were never going to leave corporate. I said, yeah, but corporate left me. So it made the decision for me. And I truly wholeheartedly believe in the universe and everything happening the way it's supposed to, and speaking things into existence. Thoughts become things. So, I wholeheartedly believe that. And now I'm just like, over the weekend, I said, matter of fact, over the weekend, I said, all right, today is Sunday. I've known in the last few months, Mondays and Tuesdays, they bring a lot of opportunity. And I have to be in a place to receive those opportunities when they come to me Monday and Tuesday, because I know they will. And about 30 minutes later, I got a invitation from you to do your show.
That's the universe right there.
Thoughts become things. Like I said, I'm preparing and I'm opening myself up for the opportunities that's about to come. And then ding, 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 here comes Tracy. And I'm like, it's just how it is. And so now I'm in a place where now that I'm finally managing the business full time and there is no corporate, now I'm really into, like I said, expanding into different avenues with the business. We got bills to pay, so making sure that it's sustainable, that those bills will continue to get paid. And then setting up a legacy for my son. So, he can take it and run with it. I feel very strongly about that. And my husband doesn't really have the entrepreneurial mindset at all. He's also from New York. He's from Brooklyn, East New York, and grew up in the union and you go to work, you get paid, you collect your pension, you retire, that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
I know. We had the struggle too, where when I first got laid off, I'm looking for jobs. And he's like, "Are you actually looking for jobs?" I'm like, "Yeah, duh, of course I'm looking for jobs." And then he was like, "Wait, are you only looking for work from home jobs?" And I was like, "No, why would you think that?" And then, with the coronavirus, everything slowed down. So there are no jobs to apply for. The jobs I did apply for, they're like, "We're not filling the position anymore." And so we, at one point, came to a struggle because he'd be like, "Are you looking for a job?" And I'm like, "I'm working every day." And he's like, "Yeah, but are you looking for a job?" And I'm like, "I don't have time because I'm working every day." So now he's getting to the point where he's like, instead of asking me if I'm looking for a job, now he's telling me, "Oh, you're working again. You're always working." And I'm like, I gotta.
No, you can't win for losing.
I don't know which one.
Well, I mean, you hit on a really good point right there, because when I mentor and coach, I find that to be a big issue for couples, whether they're married or not. If the spouse doesn't support your entrepreneurship venture, it can create some tension within the relationship. And I find a lot of people, I've had people who actually split up over it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you have to go to counseling, find a way to work through it.
Yeah.
One person has that 9-to-5 mindset, and you have that entrepreneurship mindset. You have to come to a happy medium. And the happy medium to me is if you are making enough money in your business to support the household or to help to replace the income you had from corporate, and it's not creating a burden, then it's usually not a problem. When it does really and truly become a problem is when your business is pulling the household down.
And I love that you don't sugarcoat it. It's not about, as long as you're following your passion and you're happy, then that's what matters. That's not what matters. We have bills to pay. And I will tell you, my husband is a lot happier because bills are paid. We have that cushion, right? We have savings. My son's tuition is ready to be paid for the next year.
Nice.
If it was a burden and we didn't have the income, then I would get it. It would be a hobby, right? I tell people all the time, if you're not making income, that's not a business, that's a hobby.
Yes.
So, if that was the case, I would really have to look internally and say, all right, Sammi, let's go find a job.
Right.
But when I'm building such income continuously, and it is paying those bills, and things are getting paid, and we're able to save and do things we weren't able to do before, even while working corporate, then it makes it the conversations either don't happen or they're a lot more pleasant. So
and talking about
you need to get paid.
Right, exactly. So this is a good segue to my next segment, which is talking about doing the things that you were not able to do while you were in corporate, or working more on other passions that you probably were not able to fulfill as much if you had your corporate position. So when I met you back in 2018, it was, I don't know how we connected. How did we connect? I don't even know. Probably on LinkedIn, because that's what I seem to meet a lot of folks, right?
I don't know, but I'm glad we did.
Yes, it was. It was on LinkedIn. I sent you a friend request, and then I asked you to do a workshop.
Oh,
yes.
Was that it? Wow.
Yep. And,
wow. And now we're in these different Facebook groups together. And
no, it was LinkedIn. I remember now. It was LinkedIn. And we
got
LinkedIn. I think I sent you the request like on a Saturday, and we got on the phone on the Monday.
Oh, okay.
Really quickly, right? And then I came to the collaborative of minority. Am I saying it correctly?
The collaboration of minority women professionals.
Right. Yeah. So then I met you an actual person when I came to that first meeting. And little did I know at that time, you were still working a corporate job. I thought you were a full-fledged entrepreneur. It's not until like lately, like what, a month ago, that I found out that you were still working a corporate job at that time.
So
Yeah.
that's a funny thing, because like I said, the corporate position really gave me that foundation I needed, that space to build Sam's work. So in the last few years, I've been at during the day, because I have a 6-year-old, so I don't really do a lot of evening networking. But if there was a networking event during the day, I was there. I would put them in before care so I could get to the early ones. During the whole school day, I'll put them in after care and I'll go to whatever I can do until it's time to pick them up from school. But my work was done at corporate. My projects was done. At the end, it got to the point where I had a micromanager, and I was actually bringing my corporate computer around with me and like leaving on my instant messenger, because she counted that as attendance. Whatever, boo. Okay. And so I was at every networking event. I created the collaboration of minority women professionals. I have 3 co-founders. We were meeting monthly for luncheons, right? We had those in the middle of the day. I was sure to be there. The day after I got laid off, I was in my leads group for the Hamden Regional Chamber of Commerce. I walked into the leads group, and I was about 10 minutes late, I think, that morning. And it was the day after I got laid off. And so I walked in and I was like, I'm here. Sorry, I'm late. I'm sorry. And somebody turned around and was like, you're late. You're fired. And I was like, well, it wouldn't be the first time I got fired this week. So, and they were all like, what? None of them knew I had a corporate job. And so here I am, like internally, like sad because I got laid off. And they're like, and so I'm like, yeah, so I guess I got to file unemployment. I gotta, do all this stuff. And they're all like, wait, backtrack. You had a job? And I'm like, yeah, until yesterday. And they're like, no. Was it full time? And I'm like, yes, it was full time. It was a job. And so I saw it more as, yes, it was a job, but it was a source of income. And I lost that source of income. And so now I'm in this mode of, how do I replace this source of income? Screw the job. And so that's what I'm doing with Sam's work now, is to replace that source of income and add to that source of income.
Yeah. I think that was funny. So tell us about the collaborative of minority women.
So, and we have a good webinar coming up.
Yes, and I definitely want to interview that young lady as well.
She's awesome. So that means you're going to be there. That's Thursday, June 25th at 2:00. It's going to be a Zoom call. It's the collaboration of minority women professionals, CMWP, on Facebook, and on Instagram is CMWP Networking. And what we usually do is have a monthly lunch and learn. So or some kind of activity for our collaboration. It's a membership-based collaboration. And we created it to provide a space for minority women to empower each other, promote each other, to partner, to collaborate, to, finance each other, give business to each other. Because what was happening, I would say to everybody, I was doing a lot of networking. I was going to a lot of luncheons, a lot of breakfasts, a lot of, one-on-ones and all that. And all these groups I was going to, as light as I am, I was the only chocolate chip in the room. And I would look around
the club. That's me all day, every day, and I'm not light skinned. So I stand out.
So you're more noticeable as the chocolate chip. I'm on the vanilla side of it, right? And so, but they know we know our differences, but they know I'm not one of them. And so it just became frustrating, because people do business with people they like and people who look like them and act like them. And it's hard to infiltrate those circles sometimes when it's a room full of white women and they're like, what do we have in common?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
I do a lot with men.
Or men.
Yeah.
And that could be a whole nother space. Your conversation you're going to have with Elisa from the Rhythm Brewery, you're going to love that conversation. So that's why I created the collaboration. There were so few Black women and women of color in these groups that as I would go, I would collect their information and follow up with them. Like I have a pile of Black women, Black professional women that I met because there's so few of them in these circles.
Right.
And then what happened was I would meet with a few of them on one side and they would say, we need to get all Black women together. And then I would meet like 2 or 3 of them on the other side and they say, we need to get all Black people together. So then I brought them together and then we were like, what are we going to do? So we built the collaboration of minority women professionals. And so I'm the president of the collaboration and I have my 3 co-founders. And we generally have a luncheon every month. The last Friday of every month was our thing. We have a guest speaker come in or we do an activity. The last one we did was a vision board activity in February. We were going to do a membership drive in March at Known in New Haven. Shout out to Known. And then we had coronavirus. So then we shifted to webinars. So we did one and now we're getting ready for our next one. Our next one is going to be, like I said, Thursday, June 25th from 2 to 3 on Zoom. And our guest speaker is Elisa Bowden, I think Bowden, Mercado. And she is the owner of Rhythm Brewery, which is, she's the first Black female brewery owner in Connecticut.
You know something, every time that is said, right, I have to go back to, this is the year 2020. Can you imagine that we're still saying first Black anything?
I had this conversation a week ago, I think, and I said the same thing. This is why it's a problem.
Yes.
This is why it's a problem. Like Princeton just had their first Black valedictorian.
I know.
You can tell me in all these years there wasn't a Black person who was qualified to be valedictorian at Princeton? Please.
I'm tired of hearing the first Black anything, and I'm tired of also hearing the first woman anything, whether it be Black, white, Asian, or anything else.
How about the astronaut thing? So me and my best friend was talking about this.
The first woman anything, because I'm still a woman too. The first woman to do anything is the problem in 2020. The first Black person to do anything is still a problem to me.
It's a problem.
2020.
It's a problem.
First minority of any minority to be doing anything, or the first woman to be doing anything.
A whole other conversation about all the constraints and constructs that put us in the place that we're in now to prevent us from, or have just ignored our contributions completely. So I need something else in this thing. I swear I do.
Yeah.
So we have Elisa coming in, and she's going to be talking about breaking barriers in any industry, because she started in construction, which is a male-dominated field.
Yep.
And then she is the owner of Elisa's House of Salsa in New Haven. So here she is, a Black woman going into salsa, right? So you got some pushback there. And then now being the first Black female brewery in Connecticut, going into the brewery space, that's very white male dominated.
It is.
So
she's
yeah. Oh yes. So she's gonna come in and she's gonna talk about the challenges she's faced and how she kept pursuing. And it's funny how I met her. I was on a national call through the I'm gonna get the acronyms wrong, but it's like the NBDC, I want to say. It's a national thing, and they were doing a 3 or 4 week Wednesday series for Black women professionals. And on one of the panels, Elisa was on. So I'm in New Haven, but I had not known of her. And so I'm on a call, and I usually do a lot of networking on these webinars. So I'm putting my information in the chat, so people can hire me, basically. And so as I'm listening, she's saying that she's in New Haven, Connecticut, and she owns a brewery. So I Google her, and I'm like, are you serious? So I go to her website while we're in the panel, while in the webinar. I go to her website. I send her an email. This is who I am. I would love for you to be a guest speaker for the collaboration. As soon as the webinar was over, she emailed me back and was like, absolutely, I'm going to do it. Are you serious? Blown, just blown. Had I not been on that call, that connection wouldn't have been made. And again, it's all about collaboration. As soon as I asked, she said yes. She said she's going to open it up to her network and invite other people too to help grow the collaboration. Because what we want to do with the collaboration is be more than just a women's group, more than just a Black group. We want to really support and empower our women. We're starting the CMWP Foundation, which is the nonprofit piece of the organization. So we want to keep growing. We want to give scholarships. We want to give back and be a resource. So, and we're in our early stages. We're going into our second year, our second official year for the collaboration. And shout out to my co-founders. So I have Letitia Douglas, who is a co-founder, Nay Fall. Letitia Douglas works corporate at Prudential right now. She does data. I call her a data scientist. Then we have Nay Fall. She is the VP and branch manager of People's United Bank in Hamden. And then Sydney Simpkins, she's an entrepreneur here in the New Haven area. In our collaboration, we have a student level, a professional level, and then a seasoned level. So students pay a discounted rate, professionals pay the regular rate, and then we have the more seasoned people who want to come back and be like a mentor. So Sydney is like a mentor to our group. She's a little older, but she's been around and she can really help. And that's one thing I like about our collaboration is that it's multi-generational. So we have the young women who are just, tenacious and ready to go. And then we have us business women who are just pounding it out. And then we have the older women that are like, no, baby, why are you doing it like that? I did that back in 1973 and it did not work, right? So, so we are multi-generational and the women love it too. I remember we had a few luncheons where the older women, they were all happy and like jovial. And I was like, what's going on over here? Why y'all so happy? I'm glad you're so happy, but why? And they said they loved it because they do some groups and they get out. But a lot of people in their groups are always talking about their medications, their wills, what aches they have. And so they come to our group and we like rejuvenate them. And they're like, oh, I wanted to do Avon. Maybe now I can get into it. I wanted to start a business. Now I can do it. Like we're giving them like you're not about to die. What are you doing? So I do enjoy that.
Yeah, it's a really good group. And if anybody wants to, you have the website?
Yes. Well, we don't have a website. We're working on that soon.
Okay, so you can go to Sam's Word.
Yeah, they can go to Sam's Word and I give them information. On Facebook and Instagram, we are CMWP Networking.
CMW
Networking.
Okay, CMWP Networking. So you can hook up with Sam. The last one I went to, I cleaned up. Listen, when I tell you guys I cleaned up. I walked out of there with almost every prize. It was my lucky day. I had wine, I got a watch, I got a book, I got a gift certificate. What else did I get? I got something else. I think I walked out of there with like 5 different things.
Yes. And that's what we do. We like to keep it different from other groups. So we try to do a raffle during our luncheons. So gearing up towards the luncheons, you should see us, especially me. Like I'm just running around crazy and trying to get good raffles that I want people to contribute to, because that money then goes back into the organization and we can do better things for our members. And so we're just like going, and every raffle, we're like, we need wine. How many bottles of wine? Let's get wine.
Yeah, I got a lot of gifts that last one that I went to. And it was really good. Yeah, it was really good. So we talked about Sam's Word. We talked about your career leading up to Sam's Word, and we talked about the CMWP networking. I'm not good with acronyms. I'm sorry.
Collaboration. It's okay.
Yeah, the collaboration of minority women. So we talked about that. Is there anything else that you want us to know about before we wrap up?
Now you got me looking at my notes that I sent. Let me see. Well, I typed up I'm a writer, so I typed up my own notes. So let me see. So social media. I do want to talk about social media a little bit, because it's important that you have a relevant, timely, and active social media presence, especially now in the time of COVID. Like for the collaboration, we don't have a website, but we are active on social media. So you need some kind of social presence. So it's recommended that you're posting at least 1 or 2 times a day. That way you can gain brand recognition. You stay top of mind and you're going to be memorable all the time. But what happens is, ain't nobody got time to be posting 1 or 2 times a day. It takes time, effort, and energy. And so how do you do that? And so what I have a whole workshop on social media productivity and integration tools. And so what I like to do, I take my client social media, put my social media on autopilot. So I create my posts in Canva. I used to create my posts in Canva. I recently outsourced this to my social media manager, who was one of my writers on my team. And now she manages all of my social media management accounts. That's her thing. That whole scope of business is her thing. And she's like, no, I know when I'm in trouble when she goes, no, ma'am. So she's like, no, ma'am, I don't use Canva. I use Drill tools, whatever. It works. So whatever.
Yeah.
So when I was doing it, I use Canva because Canva is so easy to use. I'm not creative at all. I'm not a designer, and it's easy to jump in. So I create templates or posts in Canva. I upload them to Planoly, or you can use Buffer or Hootsuite or any other scheduling tool. And then I use Zapier. So once I upload it into Planoly, I put the exact time and date. Planoly allows me to save hashtags. So I save my hashtags there, just throw them in, and it automatically schedules it out to Facebook and Instagram. As like I said, my business primarily is business to business. So I need to be on LinkedIn. So I use Zapier, Zapier, which is an integration tool. So whatever I post on Instagram is zapped over to LinkedIn. So that way I'm able to post that on all three channels simultaneously after I upload that one time. So if you're looking for an easy way to really maximize your social media, think about using some of the tools because they really do help. And there's a lot of tools out there. Let me see, LinkedIn. Tips for LinkedIn. Make sure you're publishing articles. Make sure you're posting 1 or 2 times a day and give yourself a captivating headline and summary. That's what people are really looking for. You need a good headline and summary and personalize your URL. So you don't have to have a long LinkedIn URL when people go to your LinkedIn page. You can make it short and simple. Mine is the LinkedIn and then business writers, but you can just put your name. So it could just be Samantha Williams or Sammi Williams. So that way you don't have that long URL. And then if you are bilingual or multilingual, make sure that you're making your LinkedIn profile accessible in different languages. So I know a lot of Latina immigration attorneys. And so one good thing is for them to do is to put their LinkedIn available in Spanish and in English or French and in English, so that way when people of that speak that native language go to your LinkedIn profile, it's user friendly. They don't have to misinterpret, worry about misinterpreting what you're going to say.
Right.
Okay. And I know you asked me for 3 tips. Are we doing that now?
Not yet. I just remember what I wanted to ask you. So when you started talking, it clicked into me what I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
So you're the only person
what
that I know that has a slew of certifications for government contracting. Like, my God, you have every single certification.
You notice?
Is government contracting. So can we talk about that in like about 2 minutes?
I wasn't expecting that. So when I made it a business, Sam's Word of Business, I was in learning mode. Which is probably how you say we met LinkedIn. I don't know. I was in learning mode. So I was going to every workshop, every training, every development, every webinar, whatever it could be. I was just a sponge. I was following around the 2 Lisas, Lisa with the SBA and then Lisa with PTAC. One of them, I think Lisa Powell with the SBA, she told me, you're like my groupie. Everywhere I go, you're here. I'm like, because I need to learn. Like, whatever you're teaching, I need to learn. And it came full circle because now all those places I was going to learn, they're now inviting me back to teach. So it's all come full circle. So when I started the business, I was learning. And in learning, I kept hearing about I don't know how I'm like my first year of business, I knew all about the GSA schedule. And so I was like, oh, I have to get on the GSA schedule. I have to get a GSA schedule. How do I do that? I still have not gotten a GSA schedule, but this is still one of my goals, right? So I'm like, how do I do that? In order to do that, you need to be certified. You need to check these boxes. You need to do that. And so I was working from home. So I had the flexibility and time. And so I was just online and I completed all of my certifications in like a week of going into business. So Connecticut has the minority businesses with the Connecticut DAS. The SBA has minority business, woman-owned business. I finally, the DBE, through the Department of Transportation, the DBE certification was harder to get, but I got it. And the 8A is the only one I haven't gotten. That's through the SBA. Yeah, 8A made it difficult. I was trying to do 8A while working corporate.
8A takes everybody out. Okay, listen, it takes the best of us out. My 8A certification has been started and stopped for about the last 2 years. It takes everyone out.
So hard. And you know, it's humbling when someone such as I can complete all these other certifications, like laying in bed, and I'm just like, I'm certified. And then AA is like, no, you're not. So AA first told me, because they want you to be in your business full time. And if not, then you have to show. So I work with Lisa at SBA to show, yes, I do work full time, but this part of my day is for Sam's work. Then they didn't like that. So that was their first kickback. No, because you didn't show how your time is divided. So then I put it back in. And then they said they wanted on company letterhead my last date of employment. And I'm like, but you know, I still work there. How am I supposed to give you that?
Right.
And so now just this week, I was saying to myself, I should do 8A again. Now that I don't have the corporate job, because that's what they were telling me.
You have until July 15th.
Huh?
You have until July 15th. They're outsourcing a lot of that stuff come July.
What happens in July?
But because of Corona, they pushed it back to July. We could talk more about it after, but yeah, you got till July 15th.
We're gonna have to continue this conversation because I need to know what happens July 15th now. Lord. So that's how I was doing the certifications. I'm also a notary public. I did my notary public after I started Sam's Word. I was actually home in bed with the flu. And I was like, well, I don't got nothing else to do. Might as well do this notary application. So that takes me to a quote that I love. So people always ask me, like, how do you do it, Sammi? Like, you was working a full-time job or running a full-time business while, you know, you have your house, your husband, your kid. Like, how do you do it? And there was a quote from Will Smith that I read and I absolutely love. And to summarize, he basically says what sets him apart from him and his other competitions, that he has a ridiculously crazy work ethic. And that's how I am. Like we were talking before about, you know, so what, you're tired. Those bills need to get paid, right? So what, you're tired. You have a deadline that you have to meet. So what, you're tired. That contract proposal is due. So what are you going to do? And so, you know, I have to, I don't know. It's something within me. The work comes first, because without it, well, I'm gonna be sleeping in a homeless shelter somewhere. Right. So the work has to come first. And that's what I did with the mini certifications. Yeah. I don't know if you knew this either. In my first 2-3 years in business, I was also a SCORE mentor while just becoming a business owner, while working full time, trying to figure out my business. Yeah. Also a SCORE mentor.
I know. Trust me, I know.
You know this, huh?
So, what would be the top three best practices that you would leave the audience with, whether it has to do with business or life? What would you leave them with?
So, your topic on certifications just made me think of another one. So we have 4 now. So the first one, before I forget, is to consider the third-party certifications. So we have WeBank. There's a Greater New England minority supplier. You know it better than I do. They are the other certifications are free. These you do have to pay for, so you probably will get to a certain point in your business where you can make that investment. When I first started paying for WeBank, I was like, ouch, WeBank. And now I'm like, take the money. Yeah. But it's useful. I met my mentor through a WeBank event. So if nothing more, it will provide you with a support system and a community of like minds that you can really grow and learn from. So think about third-party certifications. So to my notes, I have here, which I learned, it was a lesson learned, hire a qualified accountant and bookkeeper from the
Uh-huh.
beginning.
Uh-huh.
I thought I had one, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had a qualified bookkeeper. He took me away from, well, I still use it, but he took me away from my Excel spreadsheet, brought me on QuickBooks.
Mm-hmm.
I thought had everything organized. He hooked me up with an accountant who happened to be his brother. They got along great. Everything was going good until someone else started looking at my books and they were like, what is going on here? The
Mm-hmm.
books were wrong. The taxes were wrong. Everything was wrong. Okay.
Wow.
Because I didn't have the right account. Well, he was an accountant, but because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have the right bookkeeper, the right accountant, I didn't know anything about quarterly taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So think of the bill I got when I filed my taxes my first year in business. And I'm like, where did this come from? And they're like, well, you didn't pay your quarterlies. And I'm
Right.
like, what quarterlies? And
Right.
it's like, going into business, there's so much to know, and you don't know what you don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
do words, I do writing, I don't do math, finance, accounting.
Right.
So I'm really big on delegating and outsourcing and hiring the experts in those fields.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned you have to make sure they're the right experts because in the end, I fired them, but it's still my mess that has to get cleaned up.
Yes.
Okay, so that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Next, I would say use a cloud backup source. Like I use Dropbox. There's all kinds of systems you can use.
Mm-hmm.
But just make sure I've been in business going on 5 years. My computers have crashed twice so far. Thankfully, I have Dropbox and I can pick right back up.
Mm-hmm.
I've been using or have used my son's computer as a backup. Last
Mm-hmm.
computer crashed like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you have something backed up. Everything, every single thing you do, back up.
Back it up. Yep.
Nothing saved to the desktop
Uh-uh.
unless you're willing to use it forever.
Mm-hmm.
Everything automatically gets backed up. And that's one thing I'm teaching my mentors, my mentees in my program from the beginning.
Drive for that. Yeah.
Yeah, OneDrive is another good one. And that's what I'm trying to teach them. You starting something, you're saving, like one of my mentees is starting his certifications because he's fresh out and you see how I do. I'm going to make sure you get your certifications too. So now he's like, how do I file it? How do I know where to save it to? So I have them automatically from the jump going to, I use Dropbox. So that's what I'm teaching them. So
Mm-hmm.
as long as you're backing it up somewhere to the cloud, you're good. Then I have, if you have an idea about anything related to the business, just do it. Just
Mm-hmm.
execute. You can refine and modify and make it pretty and, revise later. But there's
Mm-hmm.
so many people who just sit in the space of thinking and
Yeah.
wanting and not doing. Just do it. Just
Mm-hmm.
execute. Do something, even
Yeah.
if it's little, and then scale. You don't have to start out big. Just start.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And don't worry about the people who's not there cheering you on, because that used to be me. I used to go off on people. Well, you have me on Facebook now, but I used to go off on people all the time when I started my business because I was like, where's my friends and family? Why are you not sharing my posts? Why are you not liking my posts? Why are
Mm-hmm.
you not advocating for me? Like, where are you? And then I had to realize that they're my friends and family, but they're not necessarily my customer.
Customers. Yeah.
And so I can't, I have to cheer myself on. So I'll get on Facebook and I'm like, check me out. Look what I did,
Mm-hmm.
because I need to promote myself. And now 5 years into business, I can put the littlest thing that I accomplished and everybody on Facebook is like, yes, Sammi, yes. So that cheering section that I wanted in year one, I
Yeah.
had to make it internal. And
Right.
now because people, they don't clap for you while you're working, while you're striving to do it. They clap for you at the end when it's done. And they
Mm-hmm.
look back and say, oh, she did that. That's my cousin. Oh, she did it. But they don't appreciate sometimes the effort and time and work that you put into it.
Yeah.
So don't worry about showing up for people. Show up for yourself and just execute. Just get it done. Just start.
Yeah. Awesome. Those are great, great tips, especially to just get it done. Stop staying stuck. All right. So if you guys want to reach out to Sammi, you can email her at writers@samsword.com, not world, because I used to say that. It's
Everybody does.
yeah, it's samsword.com, or you can go to samsword.com, and that's her website. And if you're interested in being a part or just checking out the collaborative, you can go to CMWP Networking. You can find it on Facebook or on Instagram. And just make sure you come out to the event that she's having on Thursday. It's going to be on Zoom. I think that is going to really inspire a lot of people into action, because this is a story that you need to hear. We all know breaking the glass ceiling is hard to do. And to see someone who has come into a male-dominated business and dominated herself, I think
multiple times.
yes, is very inspirational. So this is how you can get in contact with Sammi, thank you for being my guest today. It's been a pleasure. We went way over the time because I think we talk a lot. So yeah. So anyway, thank you for joining me for morning tea this morning, and I will see you guys tomorrow.